Let's catch up now on some business news with our business editor, Stephen Carroll. Stephen, you're starting with big changes at the photo-sharing app Instagram today.
That's right. The co-founders of Instagram have quit their jobs after 6 years after they sold the app to Facebook. Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger have overseen the service's growth to over 1 billion global users. Their departure comes at a difficult time for Facebook after this year's data scandals and slowing growth in advertising and user numbers. Instagram had been one of the bright spots in the social network's portfolio, but the founders' departure comes after the founders of WhatsApp and Oculus VR also left the company. In a statement, the Instagram CEO said the two founders were taking some time to explore their curiosity and creativity again. Building new things requires that we step back and to understand what inspires us and match that with what the world needs. That's Kevin Systrom there from Instagram. We'll turn next to Argentina. President Macri says the country will get more help from the IMF and that there's no chance they will default on their debts. His government is in talks with the International Monetary Fund over getting speedier access to the $50 billion credit line agreed earlier this year. Mr. Macri's government is trying to win IMF support with a cost-cutting budget, but the measures are deeply unpopular, with a general strike being held in Argentina this Tuesday. Brian Quinn has the story.
No to austerity and no to the International Monetary Fund. Tens of thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of Buenos Aires Monday to voice their opposition to Argentine President Mauricio Macri's tough new IMF-backed budget aimed at cutting the country's deficit to zero.
We are against the adjustment of Macri, against the adjustment of the IMF, particularly as teachers are fighting for more budget funds for education.
We're against this government of adjustment because it governs for the rich while killing the poor. We don't have education and we don't have health care.
Macri is in New York for the UN General Assembly. He says he's trying to restore economic confidence. Earlier this year, his center-right government secured a 3-year, $50 billion IMF loan to deal with a currency crisis that has seen the peso lose half its value over 2018. Last month, Macri asked the IMF to speed up access to that credit line and possibly boost the amount. Speaking to the Financial Times, he said he believes his budget will pass the Argentine Congress, saying that there is no room for anything else and that Argentines are learning from past mistakes. Macri also says there's no chance that his country will default on its debts. Protest organizers aren't on board. They've called for a general strike Tuesday to reject the austerity budget. Public services like schools, hospitals, and public administration offices already shut down, with public transport workers, banks, and air traffic controllers expected to join the strike.
Let's check in on what's happening in the markets next for you, starting with the price of oil, which is holding near its highest level in 4 years. The international benchmark Brent crude, in fact, now passing the peak that it reached on Monday at $81.51. WTI crude also on the up today as well. That's impacting the stock markets and trading too. We've seen oil companies getting a boost from those higher oil prices. Gains across the board at the opening in London. Total is among the companies that's up, trading in Paris at the start of the day today. Over in Asia, trade tensions weighing on investors' minds there. Relatively quiet on the Asian markets because the Hang Seng in Hong Kong and the Caspian Solar both closed today. But the Shanghai Composite down about 2/3%. Some gains, though, on the Nikkei in Tokyo. Now next, China says that it can't hold talks with the United States about their trade dispute while the US, quote, holds a knife to Beijing's neck. Negotiations on diffusing the trade war that's seen tariffs slapped on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods were meant to take place this week, but China pulled out after the latest escalation. This as a Chinese government report accused President Donald Trump of bullying other countries. Finally, for me, a big deal in the fashion world, expected to be announced in the coming days. The iconic Versace brand looks set to be sold to American group Michael Kors. According to reports, the deal could value the Italian design business at around $2 billion. Italian media reporting that Donatella Versace will be calling a staff meeting in Milan for later this Tuesday. Stuart.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Stephen with Business on France 24. Back